First of all, Sable Chicken, thank you for teaching me that I do have a fatal flaw. And my fatal flaw is that I'm a sexist. Because if a man had sent me the video that you've just sent, he would get a whole different treatment. So thank you for that. And also, by insulting Carl Sagan, I don't know if I made it clear, but I actually love Carl Sagan. And I mean love in the way that when I heard he died, I cried. So by insulting a point that Carl Sagan made in a rather, well, less than fully mature way, you've taken my kid gloves off as regards Jesus. I won't be having a go at Jesus in this video, but when I eventually do, rest assured you had a part to play in making me feel that it was an okay thing to do. Before I go into your, shall we say, argument, I wonder if you've seen a very, very bad, some would say very crappy, science fiction film called The Lawnmower Man. Very bad film. As a connoisseur of science fiction, I hated it. But something did spring to mind from that film when I was trying to think of how to reply to your video. There's a scene towards the end where a guy is trapped inside a computer and he's trying to get out, and he's summoning up thousands upon thousands of different possible routes out. And as soon as he finds that he can't get through, he dismisses the potential opening and moves on to the next, because time is of the essence. Now that's kind of how you like to debate. I raise points for you, and if you can't answer them, and you never can, then you simply move on to the next one. You will not stay on one point. And I suppose really what I should do is simply repeat the points that I've made to you. But that would make for a fairly boring video for you and a boring video for me to make. But it hasn't gone. If you ever gave me a theological reason to believe in God, I would take it on head on, and I wouldn't leave it until I believed that I'd disproved it to at least my own satisfaction. So let's look at the points that that you've made and see what I can make of them. You say God is not going to get under a microscope. And then, after drawing breath, you say that you have seen signs of God under a microscope. Now, I didn't know that you were a trained microbiologist. And I don't think you are a trained microbiologist. But by saying that you personally have seen signs of God beneath a microscope, whether it was on one of these creationist DVDs or not, by saying that you have seen signs which a trained biochemist cannot see, barring those odd lunatics who work for the foundations which are trying to promote intelligent design, by saying that you can see something that they cannot, you are saying that you are smarter than they are, and that your zero training counts for more than their 5+ years of intensive training. You say that science works really, and this is a quote, science works really hard to try and discredit God. Is that how you really imagine it works? I mean, I laughed when I heard you say that. I'm not laughing now because it would be impolite. But do you imagine that all the scientists get up in the morning, put on their white coats, and then get into the lab, rub their hands with glee, and then say, how can we discredit God today? Science does not try to discredit God. Science tries to find out the truth. It's in the objective search of truth that pieces of information come out which in themselves discredit God. Science isn't trying. Science can do it without trying. You keep saying there is lots of evidence for intelligent design. My reply to that is, show me some. On the subject of weighing up evidence, you still have that video of the flagellum listed as one of your favourites. It's a 1-minute 48-second clip. This has convinced you, along with other things that you've seen. You tell me that you've watched the Ken Miller video, which totally destroys the flagellum argument. That video is 1 hour, 57 minutes and 10 seconds long. Yet you prefer the 1-minute 48-second version. Now, you cannot have understood everything in the Ken Miller video, which is okay, I understand that. I don't understand every point made in that video, but I understand quite a few. The majority. Now, you haven't come to me and said, what did Ken Miller mean when he said this? What did Ken Miller mean when he said that? That is the ordinary reaction of someone watching something in an unbiased fashion. If I were to sit down with a 10-year-old and watch that Ken Miller video, I know that I'd have to stop it 100 times to answer their questions as and when they arose. You have not asked a single question about that. So what you demonstrate there is you're not listening to facts. You're like the lawnmower man trying to get out of his cage. Is this a way out? No. Is this a way out? No. Is this a way out? No. You're not looking at why it's not a way out. Every time one of these things comes at you, which you find you cannot find flaw with, you've got to ask yourself why you cannot find a flaw in it. And if it's because you don't know enough, then you need to learn more. I'm trying to teach you how to break out of your cage, but I'm going to go back on something I said about you. I said that you were trying to understand. You're not trying to understand. You're trying to find something in science which justifies your irrational beliefs. You thought I might be able to politely provide you with evidence which would shore up your belief. I'm not going to do that. I know your belief's wrong. If you want some personal, easy to understand evidence about human evolution, and if you want to get me to reply to anything else in the future, you must give me the intelligent design answer. And I'm just talking about humans. Explain skin pigmentation. Why did God create some men black, some men yellow, and some men white? Evolution has an answer. Where's the intelligent design answer? And if it's not scientific, of course, the kid gloves are off. Explain the vestigial tail at the base of every human skeleton, including yours and including mine. Why is that tail there? Evolution explains it because we once had a tree-dwelling ancestor. What's the intelligent design answer for that? A flourish of God's pen? Explain the appendix. And finally, have you ever had backache? If you have, the reason you have backache is because the human pelvic bone is at such an angle that it is not perfectly adapted to stand upright. Backache is the largest cause of pain within human beings, and it's caused by the fact that we have not perfectly evolved yet to stand upright on 2 legs. What's the ID explanation for backache? If you want me to reply to anything else, I'll only be replying to scientific points. If you have scientific questions with scientific terms within the question, if you're going to just talk about intelligent design without giving me any evidence for it, you won't be getting a reply. You've got a choice, Sable. You can either go further into your religion, which means that you'll spend the rest of your life being troubled by every scientific fact you ever hear, or you can investigate science open-heartedly and listen to Carl Sagan, and he will convince you that in a perhaps overly romanticized sense, but in a very true sense, you're a child of the stars. And Science will never trouble you again. The door of your cage is open. You have to walk through it.